Hey, noble ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking, and today I would like to spend a few minutes talking about what happened to the two National Guard troopers, I believe they are, who got shot in DC. Let's jump right into it. Let's have a look at the ABC News reports, and then we'll check CNN for a couple of laughs. DC National Guard shooting suspect to be charged with first-degree murder, Pirro says. President Donald Trump announced the death of one of the guardsmen on Thursday. Yeah, unfortunately, this was actually updated already, and the girl also died. They both died, unfortunately. The suspect in the targeted shooting of the two National Guardsmen in Washington, D.C. will now face charges upgraded to first-degree murder after President Donald Trump announced the death of one of the victims. Late Thursday, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, said Friday. The suspected gunman, 29-year-old Rahmanullah Lakanwal, of course that's his name, was previously charged with 3 counts of assaults with the intent to kill while armed and criminal possession of a weapon, officials said during a press conference on Thursday. And it's always the same, isn't it? Who's the judge? That's the question. Who's the judge? Who let him out? Man, it's always the same. Unbelievable. So these are the two victims. My heart goes to their families. Lakanwal is accused of firing at 2 National Guard members, 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom and 24-year-old Andrew Wolf, on Wednesday afternoon. I'm glad they didn't put allegedly, because it pisses me off when they do that, when we know it's the whatever. So young. This is really disheartening. The suspect allegedly opened fire, oh there we go, allegedly, opened fire without provocation, ambush style, struck one of the victims, leaned over and shot the individual again, before firing at the other National Guard member several times, Pirro said on Thursday. Yeah, I think he used the weapon of the, here he is. Here he is. Video obtained by the Wall Street Journal shows the moment of the shooting. The footage briefly shows Lakanwal brandishing a firearm before he runs off camera. A National Guardsman can also be seen in the video running and reloading his firearm. Trump announced on Thursday evening that Beckstrom, an Army specialist, had died. She's just passed away. She's no longer with us. There we go, yeah. She's looking down at us right now, Trump said of Beckstrom. Her parents are with her. It just happened. Yeah, that's terrible. So now, this is probably the last time I'm ever going to show this face. I don't want to give him any notoriety. But one thing we have to say that I want to address now is, of course, this became a political pass the ball. And the thing that I find disheartening is that these 2 U.S. service members have died. They were shot by an anti-American, anti-Western Afghan terrorist. There are plenty of people that decided to pin this on Trump. Note that the people who do this don't even mention the terrorist. Check this out. Amy Siskind LGBTQ flag says, "Rest in peace, such an unnecessary death of this young soul." So Trump could play dictator with a nonsensical charade in DC. Sarah and her fellow WV National Guard troopers should have been home enjoying Thanksgiving. So this is going to be the main line of attack of a lot of accounts coming from the left when it comes to this matter. How deployment of troops makes anyone giving the order the reason why they didn't survive this in order to be able to spend time with their family is beyond me. The reason is the Afghan terrorist. This is unbelievable to me. Not even mentioning it. You can absolutely disagree with whatever Trump decided to do with the National Guard, but he's not the reason they got shot. The reason they got shot is because the terrorists shot them. Absent the terrorist, the relocation or deployment of forces wouldn't have caused anything. How brainwashed do you have to be to consider troop deployment, the cause, the root cause of the death, more than a terrorist who opens fire? An anti-American terrorist who opens fire on fellow American citizen. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I understand hatred for Trump. There are absolutely things that I disagree strongly with Trump, and there are other things that I think he's doing a great job. But what on earth? This is like unbelievable to me. What are you going to say? Now, it's the fault of America in Iraq or Afghanistan. in the first place? Are we going to go back to the 90s? Are we going to go back to the 50s? Are we going to blame it on women being allowed to become part of the National Guard at that point? Because if women were not allowed to become part of it, she would be alive with her. You can literally blame anything. Are you going to blame democracy? Are you going to blame the War of Independence? Because if America hadn't fought a war of independence against the British Crown, you would be under the control of Britain right now. And so there wouldn't be no Trump to order the National Guard to this is the stupidity of the point. Do you know what? I'm going to turn everything off. Yes. We'll start with this one. Okay. Off. And I'm going to turn this one off. Blue light. Boom. Gone. I'm going to turn the background off. There you go. Then I'm going to... Ooh. That single blue light there is actually a nice touch. Off. Maybe later I don't want to get up. Turn this one off. I'm going to turn this one off. Great. That's it. That's how I'm going to do my videos now, because you're not subscribed. So you don't get the lights. Actually, this is quite atmospheric. I have to turn that one off. Otherwise, it doesn't work. The punchline, it doesn't work. Right. You happy? How about that? Actually, if I had a true crime channel, maybe this wouldn't actually be too bad of an idea. But how about we bring all the lights back and you subscribe? Wow. Man, what a difference that makes. That's insane. And it's not the only one. There are a lot. Look at this Jane Mayer getting 8.6 million views on this. This is so tragic, so unnecessary. These poor guardsmen should never have been deployed. Not they should never have been shot by a foreign national terrorist who shouldn't have even been here, if you want to hear my position on that. Not this is a problem with judges. The guy already had some precedent. How about put them in jail when they have precedents of armed assault? No, the National Guard shouldn't have been deployed. So when cops die because a criminal shoots them, they shouldn't have been placed there by the police station? Is it the police station fault for telling them you have to go, you have to dispatch, there is an active bank robbery? Is it the unit dispatcher's fault? I live in DC and watched as they had virtually nothing to do but pick up trash. It was for political show, and at what cost? Again, for the left-wing fan of mine, because I know right-wingers agree with me here, for the left-wing fans of mine, disagree with Trump all you want. You cannot blame him for a terrorist who shot them. It's ridiculous as a line of argumentation. Luckily, people in the comments, insane, evil, demonic take. I agree. The best time to delete your account is now. I agree. She's free not to do it, but I still agree. Matt, the shooter is responsible for shooting the National Guard. Exactly. The National Guard is not responsible for getting shot for just existing. Exactly. This is the obvious take. This is the obvious take. Yeah, your argument is that it's the fault of those who deployed them who are responsible for their being attacked. It's victim blaming, basically. It's a form. It's kind of a little bit of a larger version, but yeah, it is. Absolutely. Jane, delete this post. Oh, she never will. She's making money off of it. The face of evil. Yeah, look at this one. Our nation's capital is so unsafe. We shouldn't have deployed troops to deal with the crime its major refused to deploy police for. It's true. I mean, then again, we can discuss whether or not the deployment of National Guard was the right choice, the wrong choice. We can talk about that whatever you want. But if you are in a scenario where just the mere walking of two soldiers means they get shot and killed execution style, you cannot then tell me that the deployment of such guard to help with crime control was unnecessary. No, if anything, this proves that it was necessary. Maybe you should double it down. I know this is going to upset some of you, but how about we use reason and logic for once? Feel free to correct me. You can tell me, no, you shouldn't use the National Guard. It should be left for police. Fine, whatever. That's a point you can have. Hopefully you don't support the funding the police, though, if that's your point, because then you're going to have a problem with it. But you cannot tell me that the deployment of National Guard to help crime resolution was unnecessary if said crime ended the lives of two soldiers, middle of the day, shot execution style. Now, this is what they're going for. In fact, if we open CNN, you will notice that the word Trump appears 55 times, ladies and gentlemen. 55 times. Trump, everywhere. Just Trump. Look at this. Look on the right here. Trump. That's it. 55 times. I kind of have an idea where they're going with this one. One National Guard member had died. Okay, Donald Trump immigration crackdown. So look, this time that has added fuel to the President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. So, once again, slightly different angle, I guess. But apparently the problem is that Trump is cracking down on illegal immigrants, and that's why the National Guard got shot. It's his fault. Now, if ICE, I'm just going to say this for the millionth time, if there is proof, not fabricated or misrepresented as I've seen it many times, but evidence that there are indeed some ICE agents that are arresting and in fact kicking out legal residents, visa holders, and citizen just on the basis of racial profiling, yeah, they're wrong. They're doing something wrong. But the illegals, it's not wrong because they are illegal. They should be treated like human beings. I'm not saying treat them like animals, but I disagree with that take. But illegals are illegals. If anything, at this point, since you like to do the let's see whose fault it is, then it's Biden's fault because he did not have a secure border. And ICE wouldn't even be a thing if Biden had done his damn job with border control. If you really want to play that game, then we can play too. The only difference is that this line of attack at least has some stability to it. It has legs to stand on. Placing soldiers and getting them shot is not the fault of the deployment. It's the fault of the terrorist. Let's talk about the terrorists, shall we? Pirro said that the suspect, an Afghan national, allegedly drove from Washington state to target the Guard members, opening fire with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. The suspect's motive is still unclear, according to officials. I have an idea or two on what the suspect motives is. A search warrant was conducted at the suspect's home in Bellingham, Washington, where officials found numerous electronic devices. FBI Director Kash Patel said on Thursday, "Thank you for the vaguest possible statement you could have ever made." Patel also noted that the FBI received confirmation from the Department of Defense and CIA that the suspect had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. Yes, so he was a traitor. We are fully investigating, it was a kind of psyop at this point or whatever. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. Patel said, exactly, good, great. Take them all. Get them all, every single one of them. Lakanwal is believed to be from Afghanistan and came to the United States in 2021 under the Biden administration. Law enforcement sources said he applied for asylum in 2024. Yeah, that's the thing, and was granted asylum in April. So that's another thing. People are now saying, see, it's the Trump administration that granted asylum status. Well, he entered under Biden, though, so there is that. But regardless, so are you telling us, the people that use this like, see, it's Trump's fault because they allowed an asylum seeker in. So do you want the Trump administration to suspend completely all asylum seekers then? I thought that you wanted free flow of people. Like, there is no consistency whatsoever. You can't use that one as a line of attack if you've been pushing for free flow of people. No borders policy, by the way, which doesn't exist in any country on the planet, but for some reasons the West needs to be open borders. They're likely after being vetted. Let's check that one out. Under the Trump administration, according to the sources. So as you see, that's what they are saying. The suspect, who has a wife, 5 children, and a brother in the U.S., allegedly had been unable to find a job because he had an expired work permit. According to a source familiar with the suspect's circumstances, like Anal, who had become more isolated. So what basically this tells me is that we have to have more vetting. We have to be careful who we allow in, even more. Stricter border control, that's what I say when I read something like this. Who had become more isolated the past few months and was growing desperate, could not pay rent or food, so they, oh my gosh, and was relying on others, the source added. So am I supposed to feel bad for the terrorists now? ABC bullshit news? Am I supposed to feel bad? Well, you know, he was struggling. He couldn't find a job. He couldn't pay for groceries, so he decided to shoot the National Guard for it in front of the White House. Poor guy. You know, it's the, we need to understand the struggle. We need to understand. I understand nothing. I understand he was a bane for this society. He shouldn't have even been here in the first place. Does this mean that every Afghan person on the planet is going to be a terrorist like him? Obviously not. But someone like him, sympathy? Zero. Zero. The sympathy I have is already been entirely utilized. It's a limited resource, and I've fully used it for the victims and their families. I have nothing left. How about that? Anyways. Clown World, thank you for watching.